So I know these differences exist like that. But I wonder if they exist in some of the other ways we use technology. Who are the role models? The role models for women in technology are the ones who have broken through. It's different. There's a difference in how we see role models, male and female role models in this area. There's bias, differences of opportunity. Maybe people just want different things. We're all different. Maybe men are different from women. We want different things from technology. It's interesting. I'm quite interested in this at the moment about devices, because we do so much. We get so excited about what technology could do for us. I start to think about what if we're disenfranchising people? We think, I think, I start by thinking, well, we're disenfranchising them because they haven't got technology. But maybe it's more nuanced than that. Maybe they've got technology, but it's the wrong type of technology. It's owned by the wrong type of people. I said to Sam when we started the business, I don't want to be in another business that's got a load of fat, middle-aged white men, and we're all losing our hair. That's not representative of our society. So why do we even think that we'll build a business like that? But we do. There's other things about technology: exclusion, lack of shared values, the things which sometimes can be hidden that technology can bring to the fore. Fractured cultures, racism, homophobia, sexism, they can be brought to the fore by technology. I just want to show you an image. So this image is not, it's not a great image. This is an image that's used at the moment, this year, this week. This is used by a clothing manufacturer to advertise their clothes, which feels like objectification. That's a bit odd to me. That seems odd. It's not a nice image, is it? Not a nice way of thinking about things. I'm going to show you the next slide, which has some swearing in it. So this is Caroline Criado Perez. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And that's a response she's got to a comment that she's posted. So that's interesting. That's not nice stuff. Actually, it's upsetting me to say it. And so the thing that's upsetting me is that the reason I know her, the reason I follow her on Twitter, is because she and an MP, one of our MPs, Stella Creasy, campaigned to put a woman on the back of £10 note, I think it was a £10 note. And she was met with this wave, this torrent of threats of rape and of death because of what she said. And so the technology, which we can be excited about because it connects us and it does great things, it lets me play a Star Wars game online, is the same technology that lets people behave in these abhorrent ways. So that's the downside of the technology. But the upside is you can rally people around notions. So the same as people are rallied around those disgraceful notions, it rallies around the support they get, to support them in these things. And this is really significant, is the amplification effect of technology. So it lets us connect into these communities. So I only know about those previous images because people have shared them with her, saying, look at this. And she is a node in the network with high social authority. Meta, she's got no hierarchical authority, but I respect her because she took a stand. So she has high social authority, and she can then use that to amplify messages. So social capital, this is what we need to take away from it. What we need to build, what we need within the leadership in our businesses. I think the way to deal with all this is social capital. It's ensuring nobody's disenfranchised through gender, belief, sexuality. We have a responsibility to build this. To be humble, not just to assume that we have our status and our role, because that's how the world always was, because everything about the world's changing, not just the technology. And making stuff equal because it's right, because that stuff's just not right. For clothing companies to be advertising like that, it's just not right. We know it's not right. We shouldn't wait for the law to catch up with it. Do things that are right because they're right and wrong because they're wrong. So social capital is part of being a socially responsible business, and many businesses want to be socially responsible, but it permeates right down to how are we developing things, how are we encouraging equality within the organisation. So there's a tenuous link. You can stop it from getting a long way away from technology, but it's about the technology. That's what's changing things. So that's enough of sex. It wasn't quite as cheerful as I'd hoped. What else have we got? What else? What's anybody interested in? Silence.
Sensemaking.
Sensemaking is really important. Sensemaking is about... Look at that, you've chosen the one that I forgot to put any slides under last night. Sense-making is about how we co-create meaning within our communities. Sense-making is what we do when we go away and we have a bit of a think about things. So at a time when we're encouraging the use of social learning is the semi-formal layers that surround the formal. So we still have formal learning, but there are these layers that go around it, the communities that support us. And within those communities, we have a good old think about stuff. We sort of scratch our heads and we ponder about it. And they're sense-making communities because they give us permission to make our mistakes. So a lot of learning in social spaces is about permission, about understanding the permission we have to explore new ideas. Remembering that these can connect us to other spaces where we're free to explore them. For organisations to successfully utilise social technology, they don't just have to overcome the challenges of bring your own device and wearable technology. Who wants me wearing this around the office? Nobody really. It's about the permissions to experiment and explore. For example, if we put in place a social learning space and we say, okay, let's explore customer service, bring your good and your bad stories of customer service. And people have to think and they come in and they say, well, I had this client and didn't go all that well, I did these things right, I did these things wrong, and everybody has a good old chat about it. It's all well and good, it's a good learning experience, a bit of personal disclosure, bring it in, have a chat about it. 6 months later, you're in your annual performance review and somebody says, well, here's this printout of where you said this to a client. That's pretty poor, that's a developmental need. Now hang on, how's that fair? What are the rules of those spaces? Who owns the conversation in those spaces? So, sense-making is about the meaningful activity that takes place within communities, the communities that we're connected to through the devices, but it has to be within a framework, a social contract between organisation and individual, which is fair. So we have to make it clear when we can make mistakes, we have to understand the permanence of data, we have to understand the ownership of data. And if we do that successfully, then people will engage fully in these kinds of activities. If we look at communities, this is kind of inside the organisation, visible communities. You've got formal communities. This is your social LMS. This is the technology that you own. Up here, visible. It's internal. Outside, these are the other spaces where conversations are also happening. And very often, they're like this. This is a semi-formal external space for most of us. So this is a space where we come together with people with views that we respect and work in similar spaces. We talk about stuff. What do you think about, neuro-leadership? I don't know. We just have a chat about it. We share stories and ideas. But it's outside the formal space here. And we stay connected. We're connected. Lots of us will be connected together here on LinkedIn. We've got forums that we engage in on LinkedIn. Semi-formal spaces outside the view of the organisation. They are sense-making spaces. And within those, there are different types of communities. So sense-making is only one part of it. Some of our communities are communities of enlightenment. They're about where we find our new information out. For a lot of people these days, it's Twitter. It's like a place that we find new information out, or at least get signposted towards it. Spaces for support. So a real key area that the same as we reach into our pockets for these devices to draw information in, we also share stuff out again. We offer support. It might just be a text to a friend. No, don't worry, it'll be okay. But increasingly, we're using them to link people together, people in new cohorts at work, people to come together to offer support to each other and challenge, of course. So as we start to look at social learning approaches, we need to use the technology to facilitate challenges. Because you don't just want everybody saying, oh, it's very good, jolly well done, 8 out of 10. It's got to be saying, well, you did that, but actually you could do this instead. Or how about this? Sharing stories backwards and forwards. Sharing. Sharing's key. What you did right, what you did wrong. In the right space, with the right permissions, you can share those stories. But in the wrong space, or with the wrong permissions, you can't share those stories. So you can't learn effectively if you can't make mistakes. It's interesting work at the moment in the NHS around subversive communities, which I love. This is about the healthcare radicals. Radicals is a sort of strong word, it's a formal word in the NHS. Healthcare radicals drive change through social communities, connected through Twitter, open hashtags. Anybody can look at it, anybody can see the conversations going on. So they're using this to allow people to share stories, personal stories from the workplace, and those are informing change communities. A semi-formal change community is change that's driven from the bottom as well as from the top. It's about practitioners using these devices to make pledges, to commit to things, to show support, and to offer challenges into the organisation. That's a great leveller. Because if somebody with 8,000 followers on Twitter is connected around a hashtag of healthcare radicals and is saying something, they've got quite a loud voice. They may have very low formal authority, but they've got high social authority. That's a different model of change within organisations, powered by, facilitated by the technology. It's not about whether it's a Galaxy phone or whether it's a set of glasses. It's about the way the technology enables us to tell and share stories. And amplification, that's what I was talking about in that last piece with amplification. Messages amplify incredibly fast through this technology, faster than most organisations can deal with it. They don't know how to respond at the kind of speed that messages spread. So sense-making within communities, powered by, facilitated by both formal and social technologies, is a real feature of the social age, driving change in organisations. And the roles that we take within that, so our role in communities varies. The roles we take, sometimes we're producing content, sometimes we're nurturing others. Nurturing behaviours are very valuable within communities. Sometimes we're moderating, or we're narrating out from it. Leslie's a great narrator. You're always telling stories out of things to bring people together. Some people are connectors. They just draw people together. There's plenty of people I've met here for the first time. We've met for the first time in person. What does that mean anymore? I was quite interested if you could quantify the ways that relationships differ if they originate online than if they originate in person. Because we know that, in first, 1/100th of a millisecond, you make these judgments about people when you meet them face to face. We're really good at making judgments about people. But some of the people I meet through Twitter, I didn't see their photo. And his photo's the owl, isn't it? Yeah. No, never seen your face before, but I know you off Twitter. So we don't make those judgments. There must be some quantifiable ways that those are different. And that's interesting because it can give people a voice who don't have a voice. So I do some work with the Cherie Blair Foundation for Women, which is about mentoring women in developing countries by connecting them to women in usually UK and USA to develop good business skills. It's not soft and fluffy. It's about running your business well and generating a profit. Facilitated by technology. I've mentored 3 people through the technology, just through my mobile phone. Being able to connect to somebody for 40 minutes a week maybe, and go through a structured year of mentoring activities, just sharing stories. Sometimes it's support, sometimes it's challenge, on the basis that if you grow effective businesses, then you grow financial power. With financial power comes political power. Political power, you get change. But it's a different model of change. And I like that. It's easy, just through the mobile phone. We've never met. One of the first woman I mentored is coming over to Manchester later this month, and we'll be able to meet for the first time. I've known her for 3 years. I've seen her business grow. I've seen her get an award for the work that she's doing in India. But we've never met. We've only actually spoken half a dozen times on the phone. It's all the technology that lets us do that. So I know I'm not telling you how you can use this in IBM to be better at compliance, because that's obvious, it's easy. It's probably not very good. The use of the technology. These are the behaviours, the realities of the social age are that this technology is embedded with all of us. Was it students going to college in the US have 11 internet-connected devices with them? Great. I thought I had problems with chargers and batteries and everything. It's, that's just our reality, constantly connected. So, where are we? Where's my map of interesting things? Here we are. Anything else? Is anybody else interested in? I've never done a presentation like this before. See how it goes. Might not do it again. I saw someone do it really well in America.
Narrating.
Narrating. Okay, storytelling and narrating. So stories are interesting, aren't they? So I started with a story. I told you a story about how my nephew is 7. I'll put storytelling. It's in here somewhere. It's hiding.
Narrating down at that.
There we are. Narrating. Martin, thank you. Performance under pressure. I was failing there. I thought, oh, everybody else can see it, and I can't. I was stuck on sex. Have I gone back? A little insight there. So I'll start with a story. Just tell you a story. Show you some stars. Everyone loves stars. My nephew's 7. Who's going to, be rude about my nephew? He's only 7. He'll cry. So we start with stories, small stories. How did you get here today? What's the weather like? We don't just say what's the weather like because we're British. We say what's the weather like because it's a pretty safe subject. We start to establish some commonality. Everybody's travelled, pretty much everyone's travelled to be here today. Some of our journeys are easy. It's an easy way to start, isn't it? Oh, trains, tube was busy, got a crick in my neck like this, wedged through from Camden. Safe. We start with safe. It establishes commonality. It gives us a foundation. Because if we come straight in and say, well, Scottish independence, let's hope they don't leave, God, that'd be awful, wouldn't it? Suddenly it's like, oh, I don't know who's Scottish. Well, I know someone who's Scottish. So, but I don't know which way it's going to go. So, so I don't start with that. But I might build up to it. So we start with safe. Stories establish commonality. And then once we've got commonality, we can start to explore progressively more risky stories. So that's interesting, because to build relationships takes a bit of time. We started with stories, and we started talking about kayaking. I can't remember how. You're probably talking about work, and I heard you say something about living in Southampton, and I said, oh, you can go kayaking. You talk, it's safe, easy, So we start with that, but then we stay connected with people. These loose social ties, connected all the time through these. So we build our stories over time together. We co-create stories together. So in learning, stories are really interesting. I don't know if I've got that slide up. I tried the wrong one. So storytelling is about the right tone of voice. What about formal and social technology? Who's got a work phone with them? And who's got a social phone with them? Do you do different stuff on the different devices? Yeah. Someone laughed at me the other day because my car has a name and it's mail. But we still have social. We divide things. We anthropomorphise things. We sort of quantify things. So we have social technology and we have formal technology, and we do things differently on it. We exhibit different behaviours, partly inspired by